Good afternoon and welcome to our seminar, Delivering Our Global Ambition. It's great to see so many of you here in person in this lovely venue in London, and we are also joined online by our colleagues on the webcast. I hope you enjoyed seeing some of our products and meeting some of the team, and there will be time to do so afterwards as well. For those of you that I haven't met, my name is John Howarth. I'm Head of Investor Relations for Kinetic. Just a few bits of logistics before we get started. We have a full presentation today with a number of speakers, as you can see. We will stop for questions at the end of each of the main sections of the presentation and a final round of plenary Q&A at the end of the seminar. We will start with questions in the room here first, followed by questions from those online. For those in the room, can you please use the microphone provided? For those of you watching online, in order to ask a question, please can you dial in using the phone line provided. Please can you introduce yourself and the company name. We will now play a video, after which you'll hear from our Chief Executive, Steve Wadey. Thank you.
At Kinetic, we understand the global defense and security market, and we know how fast the threat landscape is evolving. Recent world events have reinforced the long-term needs of our customers. We understand that to be successful, we need to be agile, innovative, and collaborate with our customers to create and deliver differentiated solutions. By leveraging our technology and engineering solutions globally, we can harness our expertise to help our customers when they need us most. We have 6 distinctive offerings to help our customers with the biggest challenges. These, combined with our heritage and relationships with our customers in the United Kingdom, the United States and Australia and other priority countries, ensure we achieve our growth ambitions. At Kinetic, our expertise in experimentation and cutting-edge technologies set us apart. Our customers look to us to support them in redefining the future of combat. Our recent work with the UK MOD to revolutionise the mobility of wheeled armoured vehicles established Kinetic as a leader in this area and sets the benchmark for future development in other markets. Our Engineering Delivery Partner Programme continues to expand, delivering significant benefits to the UK MOD. This includes providing long-term engineering services for the Typhoon combat aircraft to extend its capabilities and performance as a sophisticated weapon system to meet both the current and projected priorities of the Royal Air Force. We've seen growth in our test and evaluation offering as we leverage this capability globally. In Australia, Kinetic operates and maintains an unmanned aerial systems flight test range on behalf of the Queensland Government. Kinetic is an acknowledged leader in robotics and autonomous systems, providing protection to military and security personnel. Our lightweight and highly mobile Spur robots are providing the US Army with unprecedented capability in multi-domain environments, including special payloads, advanced sensors, and mission modules. By leveraging this technology in our other home markets, we will continue to grow in this important sector. Formidable Shield is an example of our training and mission rehearsal offering in action, demonstrating Kinetic's ability to successfully host a US-led NATO training exercise. Working closely with international partners within NATO, we made a significant contribution to our allies' abilities to deliver against future threats. Data is strategically important in both the defense and security sector. Recognized as key to military success and vital in the growing fight against cybercrime, Kinetic is helping customers optimize their data, enabling them to sustain information advantage, critical to effective operations. With our growing capability in this area, we can seize the opportunities for growth presented by this increasing global trend. Our customers rely on us to co-create high-value solutions that are relevant to their needs, enabling them to meet their greatest challenges. They trust us to deliver. They value our unique capabilities, and they depend upon our innovation to prepare them for the future.
Great, thank you, John. And hello and welcome, and thank you all for joining our investor seminar today. Last week, we announced our fourth quarter trading update, and I was really pleased to share that we delivered strong operational performance and expect our full year results to be marginally ahead of our previous guidance. Today, we're going to share more about our long-term global ambition with a specific focus on Australia and the US because they represent more than 50% of our future growth. Let me start by giving you the headlines from today's seminar. The defence and security context is heightening the market needs for our 6 distinctive offerings. We have increased the scale of our ambition to grow the company to more than £2.3 billion of revenue over the next 5 years. Our strategy is increasingly relevant to respond to both the short-term and the long-term market dynamics, and we have the leadership team with the right skills and the right experience to successfully deliver. We are well positioned to more than double our Australian and US businesses. And finally, we have a clear financial strategy and compelling investment case. By building our company globally, we will convert revenue growth into sustainable, profitable growth to deliver enhanced returns to shareholders. The agenda for this seminar is as follows. I'll provide a short introduction. We'll then go through our heightened global market opportunity, followed by our growth strategies in Australia and the US, and finish with an update on our financial strategy. The presentation should take about 2 hours with opportunities, as John said, to stop and take questions after each subject and then again right at the end. So let's start with our strategic context. Recent world events have reinforced the long-term needs of our customers, requiring capabilities utilizing differentiated technology, test, and training solutions which are directly aligned with our strategy. Our addressable market is worth more than £20 billion per year, and we see increased customer demand for our high-value solutions in high-priority growth segments. The major focus for growth is in our 3 home countries, the United Kingdom, the United States, and Australia, where we are pursuing similar opportunities to support the shared defence and security mission of those customers. The formation of the AUKUS alliance between these nations reinforces our multi-domestic strategy and makes us increasingly relevant. Building on our track record of growing the company by more than 75% in the last 6 years, we have chosen to increase the scale of ambition to grow by another 75% over the next 5 years to more than £2.3 billion of revenue. Within our latest strategic business plan, we see 30% of our future growth coming from the UK market and more than 50% of our growth coming from both Australia and the US. This plan is enabled by our strong balance sheet and continued investment in our global strategy through both organic opportunities and strategy-led acquisitions. Now, our strategy is increasingly relevant and provides focus for our business decisions and our investment choices. We're a company with a clear purpose, vision, and customer value proposition called mission-led innovation, co-creating cost-effective solutions to meet our customers' needs at pace, as reinforced by the current conflict in Ukraine. Our strategy is a multi-domestic strategy with a clear focus on the where, the what, and the how we deliver value for our customers. Where? Building an integrated defence and security company through global leverage of our unique capabilities into each of those home countries. What? Sharpening our focus on co-creating and delivering distinctive offerings that add value to our customers, differentiated from our competitors. And how? Applying disruptive innovation that accelerates solutions for our customers with greater agility and pace. Let me bring this to life with an example of how our multi-domestic strategy is creating value across the UK, US, and Australia. In the UK, we committed £400 million of capital investment to modernise the key test and evaluation capabilities of the long-term partner agreement, which has driven growth from both our UK customers and international customer usage. Our Australian business has leveraged this position to establish sovereign test and evaluation capabilities through the design, build and operation of a new flight test range in Queensland. Based on this success and their growing customer relationship, the team is now investing in building sovereign capability in robotics and autonomous systems by leveraging our strength in the US to drive even further growth. Underpinning this strategy, we take our ESG responsibility seriously, with one example being the launch of our net zero plan at the end of March. We also continue to focus on developing a culture which provides a safe and secure environment to enable our people to thrive and deliver benefit for all our stakeholders. To successfully deliver the next phase of sustainable, profitable growth, I've recently augmented the Kinetic leadership team to ensure that we have all the necessary skills and experience in each of our key markets through a combination of internal promotions and significant external hires. Whilst today's focus is on growth in Australia and the US, we have all the other members of the team here to answer any questions that you may have, either during or after the seminar. We have Neville Solkald, our Chief Strategy Officer, and he'll be pleased to answer any questions on the next phase of growth. We have Mike Seward, our Chief Technology Officer, on advanced technology and disruptive innovation. Vicky Wise, our Chief Enterprise Services Officer, on transformation. And then Nick Anderson and James Willis, on our Chief Execs for UK Defence and Intelligence, on our UK customer relationship and growth strategy. So now let me introduce the three main speakers for today who will be leading the presentations. First, we have Sam Lewis, who joined Kinetic in June 2021. Sam is the Chief Growth Officer for the group, driving our pipeline of new business opportunities, including leadership of our campaigns globally. We then have Greg Barsby, who joined Kinetic in 2014. Greg is the Managing Director of our Australian business, which under his leadership has more than tripled its size over the last 7 years. And we also have Sean Purvis, who joined Kinetic in February this year. Sean previously was a member of the executive leadership team and corporate vice president at Northrop Grumman. As president and CEO of our US business, Sean has a mandate to deliver our short-term operational performance and realize our long-term ambition to more than double the size of the business. And then finally, Carol Borg, who joined Kinetic at the end of last year from Lightsource BP. Carol is the group CFO and also leads our overall group-wide ESG agenda. And Carol will lead us through our financial strategy at the end of the presentation. This is a really excellent team to talk to you today about delivering our global ambition. I hope you enjoy the question and look forward to some good questions as we go through. So with that, I'll hand over to Sam to say a few words to introduce himself and talk about the global market opportunity. Sam.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much, Steve. I appreciate the warm welcome and really grateful to be here. As Steve mentioned, I joined Kinetic almost a year ago, and I joined because of these distinctive offerings and the path at which we take to go to market and deliver those distinctive offerings. And that remains truer today than it was a year ago, and that's very exciting for me. By way of background, I served in the United States Navy. I've spent most of my career in defense and intelligence. I've worked in global companies with U.S. subsidiaries that are security cleared, so I've got about a decade of experience in that, which I think makes me uniquely qualified to work with Sean in her role as the leader of the U.S. business. And I recently served in global P&L role as a CEO and also then as a small and medium enterprise CEO in the autonomy sector. So I bring all those things to bear here at Kinetic, and fortunately they're all relevant because we do have such a broad breadth of capability and distinctive offerings that we'll spend a little bit more time talking about. If we go on to the charts, the first one really aspires to reinforce that our pathway to deliver the growth ambition for our company is really underpinned by this significant addressable market. After 6 years of consistent and solid growth, the company has taken those lessons learned and is reprioritizing and doubling down, if you will, on our 3 home countries. And Steve mentioned the AUKUS relationship, Australia, UK, and US. We have priority countries as well, but we are focusing most of our efforts from a growth perspective on those 3 home countries. And the reason is because those countries have shared values. They have a common set of challenges and threats in the environment. And those 3 countries in particular have worked closely to cohere their defense strategies. And what that creates for a company like Kinetic is an opportunity to serve each of those countries from our distinctive offerings and approach them very similarly and take the efficiency that's gained out of that. One example that Steve mentioned, of course, was AUKUS. And AUKUS is a really unique and new partnership. Some people are calling it a radically different cooperation agreement. And although it's perhaps not radically different, it really aspires to go beyond ensuring that militaries are interoperable or that one country can sell a bit of kit in another country. It really goes to cohere the defense strategies and then thereby maximize the interleaving defense spend that supports those capabilities to deliver more timely, right? We're in an environment where the threat is rapidly changing, more timely and joined up capabilities. And that serving as a tailwind for our growth and underpinning our multi-domestic strategy is giving us an opportunity that really is an inflection point for our company. So we're very excited about that relationship. It supports our view and reinforces our view that this indeed is a 20 billion pound market opportunity annually. You might have caught me saying dollar in rehearsal. I've said dollar a couple times. You might recognize my accent as US. But I think that's a hat tip to our multi-domestic strategy, that this team is filled with both US and Australian nationals as well. And as we look to grow globally, we believe that there is significant market opportunity not only in the UK, where we will derive 30% of our future growth in the next 5 years, but also in particular in the US and Australia, which is the reason we've chosen to focus that. In particular, the US, we have a very, very small market share. So in addition to it being a large market, if we can truly harness those distinctive offerings and capabilities and bring them to the US, in addition to what the US already has to offer organically, and then what we do inorganically, we do have a significant opportunity to grow in the US, and we're very excited about that. With respect to the overall market, events like Ukraine, whilst they certainly have some short-term impacts, and the security landscape is changing dramatically in Europe, and strategies are changing dramatically in the alliances like NATO, we think that the longer-term impacts won't be known. But what it really has done for us this year and as we look into next year is ensure us and give us more confidence that the things we're doing are in fact aligned to future needs of our customers, and that we expect to actually grow a little bit more because of that, not necessarily some expanded market opportunity. And that's reflected in what Steve briefed earlier, an aspiration to grow the group aspiration from 2 billion to 2.3 billion pounds. And what is supporting that view? What's supporting that view is an increase in our pipeline, a significant increase in our pipeline this year. Last year we talked about greater than 6 billion qualified pipeline. We've added more than 15% to that, right? So we're growing the pipeline coincident to the growth in our markets and also our aspirations. More importantly than the growth of the pipeline is the quality of the pipeline. Over the last year alone, we've seen the size of average deals go up. If you measure the deals that are above 5 million pounds, that's gone from about 45% of our opportunity landscape to over 50% of our opportunity landscape. And that's really an indication that we're qualifying and pursuing larger and more complex deals that will turn into backlog with longer term and more value creation for the customers. So we're very excited about that metric. And then when you look at the total qualified pipeline and you start to measure the product of the customer's likelihood to contract an outcome and our likelihood to win, we believe that we're going to win those, and that our confidence is up from about the mid 30s to the mid 40s, right? So that's to say that with our qualified pipeline, 4 in 10, or hopefully slightly more than 4 in 10 of those deals will actually come to fruition and then turn into backlog, us delivering mission capabilities to our customers. So all of those are healthy metrics that have enabled the team to say we can raise our global aspiration. And all of those are strong indicators to you, our partners in industry, our partners, our analysts, and our shareholders, that we are on indeed a growth trajectory that we can meet your expectations and our expectations, if you will. So shifting now to all of the reasons we think that creates this multi-domestic engine for global growth is really about what we talked about, right? It's about the investment in the campaigns. It's about early engagement with our customers and clients. It's about shaping our internal resources and research and development money towards the future needs of the customer. And of course, it's about building out those distinctive offerings that we talked about in the video, and we'll talk about a little bit more as we go forward. So in the video, we talked about our distinctive offerings. Steve mentioned our distinctive offerings. I won't spend a lot of time on this chart because we've talked about it, but I do want to reiterate that all of our investment decisions really first pass the test of a distinctive offering. Is it something where Kinetic can differentiate itself from its competitors? And more importantly, is it something where Kinetic can provide innovation, mission-led innovation, and real value to our customers? If it doesn't pass that test, it doesn't receive investment, it doesn't receive our focus. All 6 of these are core capabilities for our company, and all of them are things that we're investing in to drive future opportunities and growth in our markets. If we start in the upper left-hand corner, we already talked about experimentation and technology, but that really is creating something new, responding to a problem that hasn't been solved before. We showed, the hybrid electric drives and the wheel drives on the video. Those are the kinds of capabilities that come out of that. Things like advanced radars as well. When we go to information and sensing, we've all heard about the huge amount of data that is created. Well, that is true in defense and security contexts as well. And in information and sensing, not only do we create sensors that gather and collect information, and exquisite sensors of that. We're a sensor provider to the U.S. Army, for example. We then take that data, do the analytics, do the processing, apply our artificial intelligence, apply cyber in order to deliver an outcome to a customer that it gives them advantage, what we call an information advantage, which you'll note later ties to one of our campaigns. In test and evaluation, we talked about this being a core capability of the company, and it will continue to be a core focus of the company. What I want to point out in test and evaluation is the digital nexus to that box right below it, training and mission rehearsal. We fully embrace and we are driving digital transformation with our customers, and we believe that a growth lever for us in the future is that connection between digitally testing and evaluating and assuring products and platforms, and then providing them to the users to use via training and using that same digital framework. We think that's a distinctive offering for us and a distinctive capability. As I round out the chart, engineering support, another core business for the company, we do have expertise, deep expertise, dating back to our initial creation as Kinetic out of MOD, that does, in fact, both drive systems engineering, but also help create and shape the requirements for our customers. And we do that in the US, in the UK, and Australia. So that's a core capability across all of our sectors. Finally, we talked about autonomous systems and robotics. You hopefully got to see some of the robots running around outside. In addition to the robotics market being very important to future security and defense forces, we do have a very unique offering in the automation and autonomy for vehicles, and we also have a very unique offering and very robust small robot. We've got the largest deployment of small robots around the world when we talk about Talon and Spurs and our offerings to the U.S. Army, as well as our offerings in Australia, where they are operating, and we're competing for an additional opportunity for those. How do we wrap it all together? So we've talked about the global market. The global market is there to help us meet our expectations that we set. The offerings underpinning that are there, and we continue to invest in those, refine those, continue to work with the customers to create the future opportunities are there, right? And as I mentioned before, we do align our research and development to those distinctive offerings. We then take those distinctive offerings and we supercharge our business development machine with these campaigns, which not only seek to win opportunities in the here and now, but more importantly, seek to drive outcomes long-term with the customer. We sense where the customer is going, and we respond by working with that customer to create the offering where they need it to be when they need to buy it. So there's an analogy in the United States about skating to where the puck is. It's a hockey reference, right? Going to the place on the pitch where the ball is going to be, not where the ball is. And that's really what we are undertaking in the campaigns, shaping the market with our best instincts and intellect in cooperation with our customers. And finally, the third lever that we use to get this global leverage, if you will, is the single routes to market. And it's an ideology and, less importantly, a governance structure. But what it really says is that in a home country or in a priority country, that country will not only be responsible for developing the market relationship and building the business development capability, but will also be responsible for delivering, right? And that ensures that they never lose contact with the customer and the customer gets the outcome they want. And this is underpinned by what Steve had mentioned about our sovereign capability investment. So like in Australia, where we're embedding capability and learnings from the UK into support training, testing, evaluations in Australia. That is fundamental to our growth strategy, fundamental to our global strategy to go multi-domestic. And we look forward to demonstrating, just as we have on the right side of that chart, with those three examples. One is a target system that was born in Canada and sold into the United States using this single routes to market approach. The EX drive, which was born in the UK and is now being prototyped for combat vehicles in the United States, using this single route to market approach and extending on top of the campaigns. And then the robotics in the bottom, as we talked about as well. Spur and Talon are already operating in Australia, built on the backbone of a tremendous legacy in the United States, and we're now competing for a significant award down there as well. So with that, I will pause and be glad to take a few questions.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. Great update about the market. Thought that before we get into the specifics of Australia and the US, it would be good to get a global market view of where the growth will be coming. So as Sam said, we'll take 5-6 questions before we move specifically to Australia or the US. Got a couple of hands up.
It's Richard Page from Numis. This might be slightly unfair in the context of a focus on Australia and US, but the rest of the world segment in terms of the growth opportunities, I think previously we've seen that pie sliced a little more clearly around some other countries in Europe and so forth. Could you just discuss the sort of thinking there? Is that amalgamation just because of today, or is what the opportunities in other territories, please?
Would you like to go?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I would say that all of our customers are important customers, and we are quite opportunistic when it comes to other geographies that need our capabilities. I think what we're trying to articulate today is a focus on the three home countries. And the reason is, of course, we all know from lessons across our lives and careers that we'd rather do fewer things with vigor and really well than spread too thinly. And those three countries have tremendous markets that we have access to. We have tremendous capabilities that those markets are buying, and we still have significant growth opportunity there. So I wouldn't say that we've excluded rest of world. We're really just focused today on doubling down on those priorities.
Yeah, I'd build upon that, Sam. I mean, those 6 countries, we always declared in our strategy 3 home countries, which was, our dominant focus, where we had large industrial capability and indigenous relationship with those countries, customers. And we also had 3 priority countries, which were smaller and were part of long-term growth. I think what you see, for instance, on my chart, Richard, which has got the 2.3 billion opportunity, the level of growth that we see in those 3 home countries is really significant. And they are major drivers based on our relationship with the customer. They're major drivers seeking these 6 distinctive offerings. And I think Sam articulated it well. The sort of underpinning shared defence and security mission, as exemplified by the AUKUS alliance, means that opportunity to share technology, share experience, share skills as a vector for further growth is really quite significant. And Sam used the word, and I would use the word. One of the things that I think we've really learned well in our strategy as we've matured in the last 5 or 6 years is the word focus. And I think that things sometimes go wrong if you're not focused, whereas our strategy now is got real clarity, real focus, and we know where our core growth is coming from. I think those are the sort of real nuances behind that presentation that you're asking about.
Follow up, if I may. Just in terms of the shared technology and the single route to market, the hurdles that you encounter from a customer perspective, and both from an internal perspective, Kinetic being able to share technologies across territories, and how you drive that from an organisation perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the barriers are coming down, right? And it's about this renewed collaboration. That's not to say there aren't barriers, and there's not to say that there's not governance around that, but I think there is an impetus to do more of that, because we do have a shared responsibility to deliver things more quickly, across national borders, right? So that is, it will always be the case where you might not have access to certain things, you might not be able to sell certain things, but in general, the vector is very positive on that. I don't know if you want to add.
No, I agree. You just need to look at world events and how nations are collaborating and sharing and maybe doing things in unprecedented levels. And I think it illustrates, and we've said, our strategy is reinforced by these events. And then the alignment between, let's just take the 3 countries that we're talking about today, there is a real shared mission. And I probably wouldn't use the word barrier, more it's a topic that needs management. And with the right management, those exchanges can certainly be achieved. Whether it's about intellectual property, whether it's about skills, whether it's about technology or even product or service. And one of the things, I apologise, I'm going to eat a little bit of maybe Greg's sandwiches. I was really pleased on Friday last week. We just approved the next phase of what we call a Sovereign Skills Programme. And the Sovereign Skills Programme is all about investing in the next generation of skills so that Greg in Australia can build an indigenous, as an example, T&E capability by leveraging experience in the UK. And that will be about bringing Australian nationals under an agreement between the Australian and UK governments to work on our test ranges in the UK to build real experience and then go back and help the Australian customer, but also support our growth. And I think those type of examples illustrate that if you really think these things through, when there's a shared mandate or need between these customers, you can manage them. We don't need to think of them as pure barriers. And I think that the fact that the strategy is built through those 3 countries where there's such an alignment, it bodes very well for the growth strategy.
Thank you.
Sash Tusa from Agency Partners. I'll try not to preempt what Sean is going to say, but you mentioned a very large home market where you have a very low market share. Do you see, and has your experience been in similar situations, that it's a low market share because other companies are already doing what you would like to be doing, or because that work is not being done by corporates yet, and you're just not there either, but therefore you're winning through a process of outsourcing from the customer?
Yeah, sure. So it's a little bit of both, right? The defense industrial complex and the number of companies that are performing services for the United States Department of Defense is significant, right? So there is significant competition. I would, however, say that like anywhere, you have customer relationships that you build and you shape and you grow, and we're working on that and we're doing that. You have distinctive capabilities which may be better in certain areas, may be equal in other areas, and you tend to focus your growth efforts on the things that you are truly distinctive where you have a customer relationship. So I think it's a little bit of both, and that's kind of a mealy mouth answer, but the reality is it is a competitive market. We do have to be price competitive, and a lot of the things that Sean is putting in place are things that will continue to keep us price competitive as we bring these distinctive offerings. There are some things that are very bespoke. For example, we talked about hybrid electrification. That is something that we think we have a market leadership position on, both here and in the United States, for example, right? Well, and around the world for that matter. So that's a great example of technology where we believe we are significantly ahead of the competition.
The other thing I would add, Sam, is that I'll come back to strategy. You know, a lot of this comes from clear strategy, and I hope that over recent years, you know, the understanding of our strategy has really grown in our investor base, because we have a really clear strategy about understanding the need of the customer, determining our offerings where we think we can add value to the customer, the countries that we are focused on, and then our investment decisions and our actions to pursue growth. And I think that whilst you've given some of the answers to why we are where we are, in terms of where we're going, it's really about real discipline and execution and keeping, you know, to that focus of the strategy. And that's what over time, you know, you'll see that growth come through from what Sean and her team do in terms of following that strategy. And, you know, I've described it and I'll reinforce it. It's a multi-domestic strategy. And that strategy, it's a single group-wide strategy, but we're really understanding the local context and how we bring that strategy to life, you know, in that local country, which maximizes value creation in the country. And internally as a team, we're focused on maximum efficiency and maximum leverage so that we really do you know, grow value in the most efficient way. Hopefully that answers your question. I think we need to move on. Am I getting a cue? Yeah, sorry. Right, thank you, Sam. So that's the global market opportunity. We're now going to go south. We're going to Australia and over to Greg Barsby. Greg, if you want to say a few words to introduce yourself, and then we'll go through your strategy and plan.